Colleagues, welcome to the Cut Code channel. Our lessons on MoonShine continue. We aim to understand the capabilities of this cool tool by thinking outside the box. Today, we will be working with fields. Let's experiment with them to see how you can interact with them. We will also create two interesting fields, one based on BelongsToMany and another for quickly creating tags. We will enter the names of the categories or tags to bind to the parent model. If they already exist, they will be synchronized. If not, they will be added and synchronized. MoonShine is a cool tool that allows us to create a field without writing a separate class. This approach is interesting and efficient. We can achieve this through fluent interface, method by method. I get high on it all the time myself. We will proceed further by working with the simplest text field instead of the BelongsToMany field. Let's begin working on it now, let's go. As previously mentioned, we use a simple text field and interact with categories. If someone wishes to implement this for tags, the process will be the same, with only the name of the relationship being different. Okay, and let's just leave it like this for a start. Let's come back and update. We see input. But inside we have a model serialized. And this is the JSON output. If we look at the main one, then here we also have JSON. This is not at all what is required, but you and I know that the relationship of categories as a whole to the field applied, we only need to change this behavior with you. Let's start by changing the preview. And for this we just need to use the change preview method with you. And right here, through the method, we will now change it. Okay. And since we're in a relationship, there will be a collection. Data. Okay. Then we're going to transform it a little bit. Let's do an implode, a title. And let's have a comma. Okay. Let's go back. We haven't changed anything in the form. But on the home page, we can see that we've got the categories right here, and they're comma separated. So far, we are moving well, but this is not all. Now, friends, we also need to change the output in the field itself, so that the categories are also displayed in commas. To do this, we need to use the change fill method. That is, the field is somehow filled there. But we can change this logic directly through the method. Okay. In general, it works similar to change preview. Next we have data. This is the object that initially gets to the fields. And in this case it is our parent model. And we can immediately show that the second parameter is the field itself, if we need it inside. Next, friends, since we are learning, let's additionally use just the field and the method is now on index. And do a negation. That is, if we are on the main page, we do not change it in any way. It works for us, we have seen it. But for the form where we are going to play with you now, we will change the behavior. Let's do the same thing that we had in the preview, only we have categories. Great. Otherwise, we just have data categories. Okay. Let's see if that's okay. Let's refresh. We see that we have the same thing here. Commas separate the values. And we have previewed working just as well. We have reached a certain logic. But for now, nothing will be saved. And I'll tell you more, if we press save, we'll get an error. Since we are trying to categories, just apply the string. In general, we don't have any categories in the main model. What we need to do is to change the saving logic. And that too can be done just right here through a method. Firstly, friends, to save the saving logic, you need to use the method on apply. Because we have fields, can't always save something. For example, in filters, they also interact in filter. So not on save, but everywhere else the method is called on apply. When we have fields being applied, in this case, apply is triggered when we save the model for the first time. We need it for fields, not relationships. So we will just block it here and return it as it is. Some information came in. We return it as it is. And here's after we've already saved it. This would be especially good when we have a new record. If we did it on apply, then in editing everything would be good, but in creating it wouldn't work, because we don't have a parent, there is nowhere to bind categories. That's why you and I are doing on after apply. We already know that we have the parent persisted, and we can interact with its relationship. And already here, in on after apply we have the date with the parent record, and also we can get right from the anonymous value function from the request. There is also a third parameter with the field itself. We have already gone over this point. If it is required, we can take it. Yes, in this case, let's just make a function. And it should return the date, modified if required, or as it is. Okay. And here we need to implement the logic that is required. Check to see if there's anything new. Finally, synchronize with the attitude. Let's understand, friends, first, that we have a value here. We have a text input. Therefore, we're going to have a string. Let's do an explode over comma, filter the whole thing to get an array with all the headers. Okay, let's have titles, string, value, explode. As long as I can remember, I want to draw your attention to this. We're right here writing all the logic through methods. In some cases, it would be better to make a separate class for a field to reuse it, not to carry the same logic every time. In this case, you and I are learning to understand the capabilities of MoonShine and field customization. That's why we're going this way. Keep that in mind. Okay, we've done to explode. And let's also filter if there's anything empty, so that we don't have it in the final collection. Next, friends, let's get all the categories based on these titles that we already have in the database. There's an interesting point here as well. In general, we could use the select field, where we would have all the categories in the options. And we wouldn't just have titles, we'd have ID and title. It would be easier for us to synchronize them. And there would be less code on auto-apply. But I chose the text-based one so that there would be more code, so that we could work with it in an interesting way, and at the same time we could work with stringable, with collections and so on. And the lesson was more interesting. Okay, category query. Next, we're in title, all of our titles, respectively. Let's put them into an array. And then we'll use pluck, we'll do by title column. And the key is ID. Great. Next, friends. The most interesting thing. We have titles that come with the request, we have ID that are already in the database. We need to take the difference to understand the titles that are just being added. Furthermore, we have a collection. Let's use the div method. Let's compare it to the ID. And we'll go through all the new ones. So we're going to have titles here. And let's transfer the IDs here. We'll make a shortcut so we can fill in new ones as we go along. What do we need to do here? Firstly, we need to push the IDs. And push what? Accordingly, a new category, which we're just going to add now. Category, query, create. And here we have a title coming in. Title. Accordingly, this method returns the whole model. All we need is the key. Okay. Looks about right. And the last step. Data, categories. Synchronize. Synchronize what? Our new IDs. We only need keys. We don't need titles. And the array. Sounds about right. Maybe not. Let's see what we've got in the process. We're back. Updating. So far, we have nothing going on. Let's try to keep it as it is. We see that nothing changes. We still have everything the same as it was. On the form, on the preview. Let's put a comma and do some more. Daniel. Okay. Let's hit save. And we can see that we've also got Daniel. He also appears on the preview. That is, we have implemented on the basis of a simple text input to work with the relation belongs to many. In essence, what is implemented in Spotty tags? Speaking of this package, you can improve it, convert it to select. On after apply already apply from Spotty package synchronization of all these tags. And there will be a quick field of several lines. And if you use it often, you can put it in a separate class. In general, friends, that's how cool it is to design fields. Every time I record MoonShine videos and work with MoonShine, I feel a kind of excitement. The MoonShine developers are awesome. Friends, This is such an interesting lesson on MoonShine in my opinion. Be sure to write your opinion in the comments. I say thank you as usual for the like you just put. And for the comment that you wrote, you're awesome. And as always, thank you for watching. And I'll see you in the next video on Cut Code.